Today, on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Brian and the fiberglass crew at MCU continue grinding and glassing on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project.
This thing's gonna look really clean, it's gonna be custom, she's gonna love it.
Part of the MCU team heads for blue water, skipping out for a day of tournament fishing.
We all have a good time. Relax, kick back, even if we don't catch nothing. Like they say, a bad day's fishing is better than a good day at work.
And FS Boating editor George LaBonte heads out with Emma Thomas aboard her custom runaround to discuss how she fully restored the boat from the ground up.
Emma and her stepdad pulled a boat out of the weeds that was a literal wreck. This is a job that is not going to be an easy undertaking for anybody, let alone a teenager.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as Brian and the crew at MCU work on Michelle Shiros' 18-foot Boston Whaler project. After being completely gutted and moved into the fiberglass bay to have a custom bilge compartment installed, the extensive repairs and modifications continue.
These little Boston Whalers are solid little boats. They don't have wood in too many places, but where they do, it typically goes bad. So I had Roberto remove the gunnels on the top side of the boat. We found all kinds of rotten wood under there.
So we find out that it was rotting wood under the gunnels. Boston Whalers came with separate gunnels that you can unscrew from the boat. So it was a lot easier for us, the way they came from factory, to remove them and fix them. To remove the rotting wood out of the gunnels, we basically take the first lamination of fiberglass, and then we started working with a chisel, grinders, and remove the wood. Once we remove the wood, we make a template again and put the new wood in place, bond it in place, and then glass it.
In reinserting those into the boat, I didn't want to have them as a removable part. I came up with the idea to glass them all together and mold it and make it all streamlined, make it look custom, unique, one of a kind. These are the things Michelle's paying for, and I want her to understand, I want her to see that, I want her to feel it, I want her to appreciate it.
Once we got the gunnel, all glass from the bottom and everything, it's time to put it back in place. To do that, we're gonna have to grind where we're gonna be bonding the gunnel to the boat. So we grind it, and then we put putty and we bond it all together. Once we bond it all together, we grind all the seams around, and then we glass it. Once we got the glass, we grind it back again and make a flash for the painters so they can do the fairing. Once they finish, it looks like it's all one piece all together.
Once I molded that gunnel and repaired all that rotten wood and fixed it to the boat, they don't look like a removable part anymore. It all looks like one piece. I'm gonna do the same thing down on the inside walls and the gunnels, because I need somewhere for all my rigging to go. Now that I've got a hole and I've got a bilge area to hide everything, I need to build a wall and make it all one piece, at least to make it look custom anyway. Not just that, I've got this great idea I want to do for Michelle. I'm going to recess the speakers and we're going to make them all flush. This thing's going to look really clean, it's going to be custom, she's going to love it.
So another thing Brian told me to do is to incorporate walls on the sides of the boat, on the under the gunnels. To do that, first of all, we're going to have to cut door skin. The door skin is going to help me to make my templates. And after that, I transfer that into the flat table where I got my flat stack that I'm gonna be using for those particular walls. We also wanna put speakers on those boxes that we're gonna be making. So we got the molds for the speakers so they can fit the recess into the wall. So we find out the speaker is gonna be too close to the hole. Knowing this hole has foam, we cut it and make like a recess so the speaker to go in. We're gonna have to grind the boat with the walls, take all the gel coat and make like a strip. That's gonna be the banding area where it's gonna be glassing. After we glass, we're gonna have to grind it, and that's gonna look factory like. like new.
When we come back, part of the MCU team skips out for a day of fishing in blue water. This segment brought to you by Surehold. Clean and simple.
The ultimate bucket list. Let's start with an ergonomic corrosion-free rope handle. Check. You want a caddy to organize your supplies and lift them out with ease. Check. Add in a bucket grate to elevate wash tools out of dirty water. Check. While you're at it, let's include integrated soap measuring cups. Check. How about a base that won't let your bucket scratch, tip, or slip? Check. Top it off with a secure lid that doubles as a place to sit down. Check and check. The Surehold One Bucket System for everything on your bucket list. Visit onebucket.com.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as part of the crew at MCU heads out for a day of tournament fishing.
Well, when the crew at MCU, we enjoyed building dream boats, but majority of us, we really love offshore fishing. So when summertime comes, we get a little slow. Brian wants to get us out there, to break this chaos that we have at work. But we like getting into a couple fishing tournaments in the summertime, and particularly one, which is the Bonita Blast. And it raises funds for the Wounded Warriors of South Florida.
Bonita Blast is real fun, and we get to hang out with the boys from the shop. Not a real high pressure tournament, but a lot of fun. Drink some beverages with the boys and troll some baits, have a good time, soak up some sun, and hopefully catch something edible,
We had 181 boats this year, and oh God, heading out the inlet, you should have seen it. It was like you thought somebody opened up the floodgates. We get out to the sand pile, and it's just like a floating city. That's where we get our live bait, and it was like so many boats out there. We really had a hard time loading up on the bait, but we got a few, and we got what we needed because we had some drag baits and we had some artificial, so we were ready to move on and go see what we could do.
Party is like, you think you just go out and catch them because it's easy, right? Because every time you go out and catch dolphin or anything else, you're always hooking bonita and eating your bait and getting you frustrated. You go out there to actually target them, and all of a sudden they're an elusive creature.
A lot of people say bonita, they're unedible, why are you going out there killing the lonely bonita? But no, none of the bonita go to waste. They're all donated, they're all sold, and that money that is raised from that also goes to the Wounded Warriors of South Florida. And we all have a good time. Relax, kick back, even if we don't catch nothing. Like they say, a bad day's fishing is better than a good day at work.
Robbie's like our fish whisperer. This guy has like zero fishing experience, but every time we've brought him out in the past few years fishing the tournaments, this guy is like, they come to him. I don't know if he's by that pole, it's gonna get hit. We won another tournament the year before with, biggest dolphin and stuff. I mean, the guy's just, it's like, what?
I'm their good luck charm. That's what Dave says. Every time we go out, we catch fish.
Our biggest bonita was only a little over 8 pounds. We had 3 of them right in the 8-pound range. The bottom fish in Calcutta, now stupid me, if I had entered into that, we would have won it because we had about 35-pound AJ. And nope, I didn't enter the Calcutta because I hardly ever really do bottom fishing. Chris, part of the film crew, he decided while we were out there live baiting, he's gonna drop something to the bottom. And I'll be dang, he got him a big AJ. I'm gonna make some really nice smoked fish out of that, which is gonna make the world's best fish dip too, by the way. But all in all, everybody on the boat had a good time. A few of them had a little too much, but that's why I drive the boat. I don't drink while I'm out there, and keep an eye on my motley crew.
Just a good day, good day. Wish we could have had the winning fish, but there's always next year.
We raised and donated over $80,000 to the Wounded Warriors of South Florida. That's going to buy them a lot of groceries, pay a lot of light bills, pay a lot of rent for their warriors that deserve it.
We love supporting our troops, especially the guys coming home wounded and they need some help. We got to help them, and that's what it's all about. And I'd like to say Robbie skipped out again this year in cleaning the boat. This is getting old. Robbie, you know what I'm talking about.
Because I'm the one that catches all the fish. I shouldn't have to wash the boat.
When we return, FS Boating editor George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Emma Thomas aboard her custom-built runaround in this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment. This segment brought to you by Birdsall Marine Design, quality marine and sport fishing products.
Birdsall Marine Design has been a leader in aftermarket and custom boating accessories for over 35 years. Based in West Palm Beach, our facility specializes in the manufacturing of custom T-tops, leaning posts, consoles, rod holders, marine canvas and upholstery products, and a wide variety of anodized aluminum hardware. Come visit our spacious West Palm Beach facility anytime, or visit us on the web at birdsallmarine.com to learn more about our most innovative products.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us for this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment with Florida Sportsman Boating editor George LaBonte, as we feature anglers who have already launched their dream. Florida Sportsman began these features 30 years ago, and the dreams just keep getting better.
This week, we're going to look at a boat straight from the pages of the Florida Sportsman Forum. Young Emma Thomas, a 17-year-old high school cheerleader, told her father that she wanted a boat. Where she lives in Crystal River, there's a lot of sandbar running, lots of river fishing, and lots of fun being had by her and her friends. She wanted a boat of her own. Her dad said, okay, you're gonna build it yourself.
I really just wanted a boat because all my friends had one. And instead of me going and buying one, my stepdad said that it'd be better to build one than buy one. And I took the project on and I ended up with this.
Emma and her stepdad pulled a boat out of the weeds that was a literal wreck. This is a job that is not going to be an easy undertaking for anybody, let alone a teenager.
This boat was built in the 70s originally, and it had probably been through 20 owners by the time we had found it. And it had coats of paint on it, 10, 12 coats of paint, had fiberglass work done all over it that was just falling apart through the years. So the first thing she had to do was rip everything out of the boat, all the way down, rip the stringers out, gut it.
Get the bugs out.
And get the bugs out, which was big for her. And then first step, we put the stringer down the center of it, and once she saw how easy that was to do that, and got it all done, she just went at it, and no problems. All I had to do was point out where to cut things, how to cut things, how to measure things out, and I would just tell her, you do it. I'm not doing it, you gotta do it.
Emma handled every detail in the process of building this boat, from grinding, fiberglassing, painting, wiring, and putting electronics, lights, everything from A to Z on the boat by herself.
I was kind of worried about how I would cut the wood out and how it would look. I didn't want it to be crooked.
Power tools.
The power tools kind of, yeah, they made me nervous because you get the saw out and it's this big saw, and I was like, I just don't want to chop my arm off. And I've never used one before, so it's kind of, being around those types of tools was intimidating until I learned how to use them. Now I'll pick up a grinder and I'm ready to go. Like, I'm not scared of it anymore.
You see the top rail here is actually plywood that was cut out. She had to lay it on the boat and draw it all out the edge of the boat, and then go 6 or 8 inches wide, however wide she did it, and stretch it all the way up and cut that piece out. And so it's all done in sections. The decks are all solid. This is a very simple design boat. Front deck and a rear deck for fishing.
I didn't want the deck too long because I wanted space to walk around, and I also wanted space to actually put a cooler. And I also wanted the lip because the boat was wobbly. You needed stability.
Most of my job was just telling her what she had to do, pointing it out, and saying, just draw this the way you want it and cut it.
Yeah, if I didn't have him, I don't think I'd be able to do it. He pushed me through the hard times, like, Emma, you need to finish this. It's gonna look so good. Sitting there grinding and sanding in 102 heat index. He's out there, ended up helping me sand so I get it done faster because I was ready to quit. It was hot and I was
That was
irritated.
only in the end though.
I know, but
she sanded 90% of the boat and she was ready to paint, and there was still some paint left on this hull, and it was like, no, you gotta finish sanding it and get it all done. So I jumped in and helped her on one side and she did the other side. And I think we painted it the same day, didn't we?
I think so, yeah. After sanding it all down to the bare paint that was on it.
One of the ways they were able to trim costs on this project was in their choice of power. Rather than buy a new motor, they took a 1970s vintage outboard that matched the vintage of the boat and put a little bit of money into it and fixed it up, had it running just as good as new.
We picked up the motor pretty cheap on his old tri-hull boat and just rebuilt the motor, put some 75 Stinger carbs and intake on it. It's a 1974 Evinrude 70 originally, and of course she had to sand the motor and clean it all up and fix it up and then paint it, so
it looked
that
nasty.
came out nice.
It looked bad. I was not about to put that on my boat. You gotta clean it up.
And then of course it was, the motor's completely white. We need something. It's like pick a color, make anything you want for the stickers for the motor. Make it look like how you want it to look.
Yeah.
And her insistence was she did not want the horsepower put on the motor because she didn't want people to know what size motor it was.
Yeah. Wanted them to guess when I was passing them.
This boat isn't trimmed out with every single gadget that you can buy nowadays. It's got everything Emma needs, though, to have a good day on the water up in Crystal River.
I have LED green lights on my console, 2 on the side, 1 on the front, which lights up my boat green at night. I have marine speakers, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, so plays pretty loud. And that's all the systems in here. I did think at one point that I couldn't do it because at the time I was juggling. I was a varsity cheerleader. I was doing all this other stuff, community service hours in high school. And most of the time I'd get home from school and home from practice, and you just don't want to go out and work on a boat. So I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to get this done. But then I think seeing all my friends having boats, everybody wants to go on the water, I think that's what pushed me. I wanted a boat so bad. So I juggled all that I had, the homework, the dual enrollment college that I had. I had to push through it all.
This build ended up being a project that allowed Emma and her stepdad to spend time together while teaching Emma some valuable lessons, namely that if you put your mind to it, you can do anything with a little bit of hard work and determination. Unlike some of the builds you're going to see this season, this boat was not a very expensive project, and it's proof that you can do a boat that's usable and reliable for not a ton of money.
After receiving the hull for free and spending $1,400 in repairs and custom modifications, along with $400 on an engine, the cost of Emma's Dreamboat comes to a total of $1,800. When we return, the fiberglass crew at MCU continues customization on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project. This segment brought to you by Power Pole. Swift, silent, secure. Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as the fiberglass crew at MCU drops in a new fuel tank and custom builds a new center console for the 18-foot Boston Whaler project.
So I got a call from my buddy TJ up at T&T Boatworks. He built my aluminum fuel tank for the Boston Whaler. It's all finished. We went and picked it up. It's been powder coated. It's ready to be installed. What's all I've got to do now is have Roberto set it in place, foam it in, and glass over the top of the foam. If you don't glass over the top of that foam, water will get on top of that tank, it will sink down inside, it'll rub up against the aluminum, and it'll rot out prematurely. That's not a good thing. The powder coating is going to help that water intrusion if it ever does happen, but sealing over that foam is just another step you take to make sure that you're going to get the longevity out of the life of that fuel tank.
To install the fuel tank, first of all, we put pieces of foam under the tank. So when we do the pour foam, it goes all the way to the bottom, and that's going to lock the fuel tank in place. Before you start putting the pour foam, you have to put braces on top of the fuel tank. So when you do the pour foam, the foam is not going to raise the fuel tank, and it's going to be higher than the deck, and then you're going to end up with problems. The type of foam that we use to lock the fuel tank in place is a 2-part foam. And that you mix equal parts together, mix them all together, and then do little batches at a time. You don't want to do big batches because you're going to end up with a mess. Once the foam is dry, you're going to have to grind it and make it flush with the fuel tank. Once you grind the foam, you're going to have to glass it because if you don't do it, water is going to get into the fuel tank. you're gonna have to use epoxy resin. The reason we use epoxy resin is because epoxy it sticks better to the metal.
The old whalers had a screwed down removable deck. We're not gonna eliminate that. We're gonna now glass the deck down. It's gonna be completely sealed. The only access water to get into that tank area is gonna be through the pie access plate in the back. So that's gonna really help for the future life of the fuel tank. It's gonna give a unique, custom, one-of-a-kind look. There's not gonna be another whaler out there like this. This thing's gonna be incredible. So when we originally looked at the Boston Whaler, the console was so mangled and messed up with all that junky plastic work. It had so many holes. I just figured by the time we filled all the holes, we patched it all up, it just wouldn't look right. I'm just gonna get rid of that old console. I'm gonna build one of our consoles I have a mold for. It's actually got rod holder storage built into it. It's got plenty of room to put a rigging and batteries in, and I'll be able to build a nice cooler seat that's all built in. It's gonna work like a frigid rigid. This thing's gonna be ice cold. It's gonna be awesome.
The old console on the boat is outdated, and Brian wants to change it. Big change that Brian wants me to do is to incorporate a seat in front of the console. We already got the seat from a different boat, but he also wants to do a cooler inside the seat. It's gonna be a cooler and a seat all together. We're gonna have to cut foam and bond it into the old seat all the way around. The foam we're using on the seat is 1.5-inch fridge foam, and that's gonna help to keep the drinks, especially the beers, cold. And then we're gonna be glassing all together inside the seat. So when we're done with the foam, we put the seat and the console all together. The old console used to be just screwed down. They do it with aluminum L shapes. The way we're gonna be doing this one, we're gonna have to grind it, and then we glass it. And same thing on the end, it's gonna look one piece, and no silicone or seams. It's gonna look nice.
Now that the glass guys have wrapped up with the 18 whaler, it's time to move on to the painters. We've got to get that boat faired out. There was a ton of fiberglass work throughout the whole boat. I've got a really neat idea with the paint. I'm gonna throw some two-tone non-skid on the inside, a super light color hull on the out. Michelle's gonna love this.
Next week on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, Brian and the paint crew at MCU begin the daunting task of sanding and fairing on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project with spraying color in their sights. FS boating editor George LaBonte heads out with John Rastrelli, owner of a 35-foot Sportfish, to discuss how he custom designed the boat for solo offshore fishing. And in the detailing bay at MCU, Robbie aims to bring a lackluster hull back to life. The filming of Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat has been shot on location at Marine Customs Unlimited. You dream it, we build it.
That's a wrap.